the boy who became Alexander the Great. Before he became Alexander the Great, he was just a boy with a dream. That dream led him to conquer kingdoms, command mighty armies, and make history. This is the unforgettable story of the boy who became a legend. As you enjoy this story, you'll also improve your English naturally through simple words, clear sentences, and easy storytelling. Chapter 1. A Prince is Born. More than 2,300 years ago, in 356 BCE, a baby boy was born in the kingdom of Macedonia. His parents named him Alexander. No one knew that this little prince would one day change the world. Alexander's father was King Philip II, a brave and intelligent ruler. He had built one of the strongest armies in Greece and dreamed of making Macedonia more powerful than ever before. His mother was Queen Olympias. She loved telling young Alexander stories about great heroes, fearless warriors, and mighty kings. As Alexander listened, he began to dream of becoming a great leader himself. Even as a child, Alexander was different from other boys. He was curious. He asked many questions. He wanted to know why kingdoms fought wars, how great leaders won battles, and what made a king truly respected. King Philip believed that a future king needed both strength and wisdom. So every morning, Alexander trained like a soldier. He learned to ride horses. He practiced with a sword and a spear. He ran across hills and trained with older soldiers. The training was difficult, but Alexander never gave up. Whenever he fell, he stood up again. Whenever he failed, he tried harder. After training, he spent hours studying reading, history, geography, mathematics, and music. His teachers were amazed by his sharp memory and his love of learning. One day, something happened that everyone in Macedonia would remember forever. A horse trader arrived at the palace with a magnificent black horse. It was strong, fast, and beautiful. But it was also wild. Every soldier who tried to ride it was thrown to the ground. The horse kicked, jumped, and refused to obey anyone. Finally, King Philip became frustrated. "This horse is useless," he said. "Take it away." Just then, young Alexander stepped forward. "Father," he said, "please let me try." The soldiers laughed. "If grown warriors cannot ride it," they whispered, "how can a young boy?" But Alexander quietly watched the horse. After a few moments, he noticed something no one else had seen. The horse became frightened whenever it saw its own shadow. Alexander gently turned the horse toward the sun so the shadow disappeared. Then he softly stroked its neck and spoke to it with a calm voice. Slowly, the horse relaxed. Alexander climbed onto its back. For a moment, everyone held their breath. Then the horse began to run across the field. Faster and faster it raced, but Alexander stayed calm. He guided the horse with confidence. A few minutes later, he returned safely. The wild horse now obeyed him completely. The crowd cheered with excitement. King Philip proudly hugged his son and said, "My son, Macedonia is too small for you. You must find a kingdom great enough for your ambition." Those words stayed in Alexander's heart forever. The horse was named Bucephalus. It became Alexander's faithful companion and would carry him through many famous battles in the years to come. But Alexander's greatest challenge was still ahead. He had learned how to be brave. Now he had to learn how to be wise. Soon, he would meet the teacher who would help shape the future conqueror of the world. End of Chapter 1. Chapter 2. The Prince Who Conquered the World. After taming Bucephalus, Alexander became famous across Macedonia. But King Philip knew that courage alone was not enough. "A great king must also be wise," he said. So he chose the greatest teacher in Greece to educate his son. His name was Aristotle. Under Aristotle, Alexander studied history, science, geography, politics, and philosophy. He learned that knowledge was just as important as strength. He also loved reading the Iliad and dreamed of becoming a hero like Achilles. Years passed, and the curious boy became a confident young man. Then, tragedy struck. King Philip II was assassinated. Alexander was only 20 years old, but he accepted the crown without fear. Some Greek cities rebelled because they believed he was too young to rule. They were wrong. Alexander moved quickly, defeated the rebels, and united Greece once again. Now his father's dream became his own. Beyond Greece lay the mighty Persian Empire, the largest empire in the world. In 334 BCE, Alexander crossed into Asia with nearly 40,000 soldiers. His first victory came at the Battle of the Granicus River. Soon after, he defeated King Darius III at the Battle of Issus, even though the Persian army was much larger. Alexander treated Darius's captured family with kindness, believing that a true king should show mercy as well as strength. As he marched forward, Egypt welcomed him as a hero. There, he founded the great city of Alexandria, which later became one of the most famous cities in the ancient world. In 331 BCE, Alexander met Darius for the final time at the Battle of Gaugamela. Against all odds, Alexander won. The Persian Empire had fallen. He was now known as the King of Asia. But his journey was not over. He continued east until he reached India, where he fought the brave King Porus. After winning the battle, Alexander asked, "How should I treat you?" Porus answered proudly, "Treat me as one king should treat another." Alexander admired his courage and allowed Porus to continue ruling his kingdom. After years of marching across deserts, mountains, and rivers, Alexander's soldiers were exhausted. They had traveled farther than any army before them and wished to return home. Although Alexander wanted to explore even more lands, he respected their decision. As his army turned back toward Babylon, no one knew that the greatest conqueror in history was about to face the one enemy he could never defeat: death. End of Chapter 2. Chapter 3. The End of a Legend. After years of victory, Alexander's army had marched farther than any army in history. His soldiers were tired. They had crossed deserts, climbed mountains, and fought countless battles. They missed their families and wanted to return home. Although Alexander dreamed of exploring even more lands, he respected his soldiers' wishes. Together, they began the long journey back. The return was harder than anyone expected. Many soldiers became sick. Others died from hunger, heat, and exhaustion. Alexander never left his men behind. He shared their hardships and continued leading them through every challenge. Finally, they reached the great city of Babylon. There, Alexander began making plans for the future. He wanted to build new cities, explore unknown lands, and unite people from different cultures into one great empire. But fate had other plans. One day, Alexander suddenly became very ill. For several days, his fever grew worse. His soldiers gathered outside his room, hoping their king would recover. But he became weaker with each passing day. In 323 BCE, Alexander the Great died. He was only 32 years old. The news shocked the entire world. The man who had conquered the greatest empire on earth was gone. His empire stretched from Greece and Egypt to Persia and parts of India. No king before him had conquered so much land in such a short time. But Alexander's greatest legacy was more than his victories. He founded many cities, including Alexandria, which became famous for learning, trade, and culture. He encouraged people from different nations to learn from one another. His ideas helped spread Greek language, science, art, and knowledge across 3 continents. Even today, more than 2,300 years later, people still remember Alexander the Great. His story reminds us that greatness begins with a dream. A curious boy became a fearless warrior. A young prince became a wise king. And a determined leader became a legend. No matter where you come from, your future is shaped by your courage, your knowledge, and your determination to never give up. Thank you for joining me on this incredible journey through the life of Alexander the Great. I hope you enjoyed the story and improved your English along the way. I'll see you in the next story. The end.